Slender Man, tall, faceless, and inhumanly thin with arms that stretch far beyond normal. He wears a black suit like he just stepped out of a funeral. No one really knows what he is. Some say alien, some say a demon, and others just say a monster that feeds on fear. His story began in 2009 on the Something Awful forums, during a Photoshop contest where users were told to make paranormal images. But something about Slender Man stuck. The idea of a silent stalker in the woods who targets children, manipulates their thoughts, and erases evidence of his existence, spread like wildfire. He didn't just stay on the internet, but instead leaked into our world. With fan art, video games like Slenderman the 8 Pages, web series like Marble Hornets, and even tragic real-life cases where kids claim they acted in his name. What makes him horrifying isn't gore or violence, it's his mystery. He's always watching, always waiting, but never explained. And sometimes the things we don't understand are scarier than anything we do. Jeff the Killer. His story starts with a boy named Jeff, who was bullied and beaten until something inside him finally snaps. One night, after a violent altercation, he disfigures himself, carving his face into that iconic image. Pale skin, jet black hair, lidless eyes, and a smile cut into his cheeks. The creepypasta usually ends with Jeff sneaking into homes at night. Victims wake up to see him staring down at them, whispering his infamous words, "Go to sleep." But why does Jeff's story work so well? Because it feels personal. Unlike monsters in the woods or ghosts in haunted houses, Jeff is human. Or at least he was. And there's nothing scarier than the thought that someone could break into your home, stand over your bed, and end everything before you even realize what's happening. Plus, that haunting image of his face, once you've seen it, it's nearly impossible to forget. And that's exactly what a creepypasta wants, to live in your head long after you've read it. Ben Drowned. The story begins when a college student buys a used Nintendo 64 cartridge of The Legend of Zelda, Majora's Mask. At first, it just seems off. Save files with strange names, glitches, and NPCs saying things they really shouldn't. But the deeper he plays, the more it becomes clear. This game is haunted by something or someone. The ghostly figure of the Elegy of Emptiness statue starts appearing in places it shouldn't. Text boxes flash ominous warnings like you shouldn't have done that. And eventually the spirit reveals its name, Ben. What makes the story so effective is the way it's told. It's not just text. The original writer included creepy screenshots and videos that made people second guess whether it was actually real. For years, gamers debated whether this was just fiction or if some poor soul really had found a cursed cartridge. It's one of the best examples of digital horror, because it takes something completely innocent, a nostalgic childhood game, and twists it into something unrecognizable and sinister. Smile Dog. The legend says there's an image out there. A photo of a grotesque dog with human-like teeth, stretched into a haunting grin. If you see the photo, you're cursed. Victims report terrifying hallucinations, nightmares, and eventually insanity after seeing the image, unless they pass the image on to someone else. It's essentially a chain letter turned into a curse, but instead of bad luck, Smile Dog offers psychological torment. Why does this hit so hard? Well, that's because the internet is full of images we stumble into without warning. At any moment, one wrong click could show you something you'll never unsee. That's the fear Smile Dog captures. The idea that one image could permanently break your mind. Candle Cove. This creepypasta is written as a series of online forum posts, where adults reminisce about a strange children's TV show they watched in the 70s. They talk about the puppets, the characters, and one especially creepy villain, the Skin Taker, a skeletal pirate with glassy eyes. But as the thread continues, the memories get darker. People recall screaming episodes, disturbing storylines, and visuals that no kids show would ever have. Finally, one poster recalls asking their mom about it as a child, and she said, "You were just staring at static." The genius of Candle Cove is that it weaponizes nostalgia. Childhood memories are supposed to be safe, comforting. What if the things you remember so fondly never actually existed? Or worse, what if they were hiding something darker all along? The Russian sleep experiment. Set in the 1940s, Soviet researchers supposedly locked 5 prisoners in a sealed chamber and exposed them to an experimental gas that kept them awake for 15 straight days. At first, everything seemed fine. The subjects talked, joked, and even stayed relatively calm. But soon paranoia took over. They started screaming, mutilating themselves, tearing their own flesh, and eventually begging to be kept awake. By the time the experiment ended, the survivors were so mutilated and deranged that they barely resembled humans at all. Their final words? A chilling declaration that they were the embodiment of evil itself. This creepypasta sticks with people because it feels like a classified document that leaked online. The gruesome details, the historical setting, and the sense that maybe this could have really happened. It all combines into one of the most terrifying stories the internet ever produced. Squidward's suicide. On the surface, it's about a lost episode of SpongeBob SquarePants, but instead of the lighthearted fun, the tape is full of disturbing imagery. Squidward is shown spiraling into depression, his eyes become hyper-realistic, bloodshot, and filled with despair. The episode ends with him taking his own life in graphic detail. Animators in the story describe being traumatized after seeing the tape, unable to explain how such footage even existed. The reason this creepypasta works is because it attacks the childhood innocence. SpongeBob is supposed to be safe, silly, and funny, but the idea that somewhere in its archives exists a corrupted, horrifying episode completely flips that expectation. It makes you wonder, what else could be hidden behind the scenes of your favorite shows that you grew up with? The Rake. A pale, hairless, and human-like creature that crawls on all fours. People describe waking up in the middle of the night to see it crouched at the foot of their bed, silently watching. In some stories, it even speaks. In others, it simply attacks. But the common thread is that once you've seen it, you'll never forget it. The Rake spread across message boards and Reddit threads with supposed sightings, journal entries, and blurry photos. It felt like a collective myth, the kind of story everyone seemed to know, even if no one knew where it started. It plays on our most primal fear, that in our most vulnerable moments when we're asleep and defenseless, something might be watching us. And the worst part, if you woke up tonight and saw the Rake, what could you even do?